Hey all, this is David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be talking about GM organization, how to keep your notes in order, or at least how I keep my notes in order. What works for me might work for you, it might not work for you. But a great man once said, if you have all of the best ideas in the world and you can't find them when you need them, then you don't really have all the best ideas in the world. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but it's a legitimate point. You might prep a great campaign, great NPCs, great places and histories, plot hooks, and perhaps monsters and stat blocks if you worry about that kind of thing. But if you can't find it when it comes time to use it, it doesn't matter if it's spread out all throughout your notebook, if they're all written on like napkins and paper towels and scraps of paper wadded up, it's not going to do you any good. So what I do is I have a 3-ring binder. I'm pretty old school, so we're not going to be talking about apps and electronics. I'm talking about my binder right here. So I have a 3-ring binder. I've got it divided into several sections, and I'll go through them section by section. First section, people, NPCs. So I have each page is devoted to a separate faction. I tried doing it where as I made NPCs, I just wrote them down. But, I end up running with 150 NPCs that are named by the end of the campaign. I start the campaign with about 50 named NPCs. So it's a nightmare to find someone. You're like, oh, which page was he on? I've got 20 pages of just block of text here. So I started dividing by factions. So like right now I'm starting Return of the Runefangs. So I've got about 10 pages devoted to the different noble houses. And then probably another 5 pages, each one devoted to its own faction: the Thieves Guild, the Temple, the Wizards Cabal, Dwarf Hold. That's probably maybe a couple others, but that's the majority of them. Right, so I've got, first page, House Berengar. Write down all my NPCs for House Berengar. If anybody asks me about one of those NPCs, I just think, which faction is this NPC tied to? That's the page they're going to be on. Boom! And I got it right there for them. So I'll be flipping back and forth between these pages quite a bit, but I can find them. That's the key thing. Find them quickly. So that's pretty much all I got to say about how to do the people. Divide them by faction. That way you can find them real quick. Some factions might have multiple pages. Keep those pages together and you'll be okay. Next section, so after people, places. So in, for example, Legends of the Seven Sands, this was where I kept my maps. That setting was pretty homebrew, so all the maps I just drawn them on line paper. I had better quality maps that I wrote out on actual nice paper, but I kept my own copies on line paper. I had a map of the city, which showed all the districts. That was Speria, the city at the center of the world. And it had 3 districts, or 4 districts. And then I had a more localized, or rather you zoom out one step, and now you've got a map of the region. In this case, the city is at the center of a desert. It's built on an enormous stone mesa up from the sand. So now I've got a map of the desert. I've got the mountains that ring the desert on 3 sides. The ocean is on the 4th side. So I've got marked all of the passes through the mountains, and I've got each of the different kinds of desert. It's the land of 7 deserts. The 7 sands, to which the title is devoted. So we've got the desert of black ash. We've got the glass sea. We've got the petrified forest, and the salt flats, the deep desert, and the badlands as well. And then we can even zoom out another step, and now when we're looking at it now, the desert is just like this little tiny blurb. We can't see all the great detail. But now we can look at the southern country, which was Achaea. It was our medieval style area, or no, that was our Greco-Roman area, Achaea. Don't let players name things. I love having players name things, but sometimes it doesn't work out well. So I got our Greco-Roman area. I'm like, here are the centaurs, here are the satyrs, here are the minotaurs, here are the gorgons, here's the human kingdom. You know, all that's way zoomed out though, because we never went there. But if we had, I had was prepped, and we could also see on that really zoomed out map a little bit of the Dwarfholm mountain chain. We could see the Thousand Bastard Islands of the Krimnali Islands. Again, don't let players name things. And you could see to the north the medieval area, which was Akkad. You can see how things get confusing. We have Akkad and Achaea. Don't let players name things. There, I've said it 3 times. I won't say it anymore for this video. So in the medieval area, so we could see where the elves are, where the orcs are, where the humans are. I think that's those were the and ogres. There was an ogre kingdom as well. Right, so I got my maps all organized there. Flip between them, just like I'm zooming out on Google Maps. It's great. And then I had the breakdowns as well. So I had 1 page, City of Speria, and it had 4 paragraphs, 1 for each district of the city. This is what the people there look like. This is what the architecture there looks like. It's the kind of industry they have. These are the factions headquartered there. So each district got that kind of write-up. Major locales in the city got separate write-ups. The Temple of Ra, I had a map for. The Royal Palace had a map. Tower of Imhotep had a map for. So those were important locales that the players were going to keep coming back to again and again. And I also kept my dungeon maps here. So the catacombs beneath the city, carved into the stone, had that there. The ruins of Mu out in the desert had that. The Formian city with the giant ant people, I had a map of that. All my other dungeons, that's where their maps were, their write-ups. So anytime I'm like, oh, I need to pull up, they're going to the Royal Palace. Where's my map of the Royal Palace? Oh yeah, places. Really easy. So people, places. Next, I kind of had things or miscellaneous kind of section. It's where I have all my magic items that have custom rules. It's where I have my stat blocks, because I use templates for my NPCs. For example, in Pathfinder, I have 4 templates: Fighter, Wizard, Cleric, and Rogue. Every NPC you ever meet is going to be one of these 4 templates and one of these 4 stat blocks. And then as the party progresses in level, I'll level up the stat blocks as well. And I'll tinker with them in game. Kind of on the fly, do a couple of little mods. But this way I have the key stats I need. And if anybody's and these, I kept these at a very high level compared to the PCs. I think by the end of the campaign, they were like double the level of the PCs. The templates were like level 20, and the PCs were level 10. And that's because I'm not very good with the rules. If you really knew how to power game, you could probably just have the templates down at like level 10 if the PCs are level 10. And you just know all the rules, and you power game your templates, and you're fine. But I didn't know how to do any of that. I'm not interested in learning how, so I just jacked them up to level 20, and it was all for the good. They were still balanced. The PCs still kicked their asses, so no worries. And then if anybody's very much below the PCs, I mean, there's not going to be a lot you're going to have to roll against, So all you need for the templates is somebody who could be a really legit threat. Anybody else, I didn't really worry about their stats very much. So I got my templates in that section, my magic items. Theoretically, I could keep house rules there. I don't really do house rules very often. just because I'm not a crunch guy. I don't like mechanics that much. And if forcing them on the players is stressful for everyone, so I don't really bother with that. But in theory, keep that there. And the last section of my GM binder is storylines or quests. So I have a page, and it's got the name of my first player, and it's got all of his quests. Just the title of the quest to remind me of what it is. Then I got my next player and all of his quests, my next player and all of his quests. And when I've done all my players' quests, then I have just generic quests that I can throw at anyone. And I got all my quests I want to throw at them, just in brief, to remind me of what they are, what kind of story I wanted to run against. And that usually brings it back to the factions, or it brings it back to a different place, which I can refer to in another section. So I find this works really well for me. I got my people all divided by faction. I got my places, which I try to keep in order, kind of like zoom in, zoom out. And I've got my, my rules section and then my quest section to keep all my quests straight. Now, after each session, not in my binder, but on my computer, I have a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. And I write down my experience points there. So every time you provide me with a new plot hook, you get XP. Every time you add a twist to a plot hook, you get XP. Every time you complete a plot hook or quest, you get more XP for that as well. And I do give some up for combat if your life was in danger, but only if your life was actually in danger in that combat. So this way I can use my XP to track my quests, what stage they're at, what twists there are, what turns there are, what ones are started. And I just copy that down to the the quest section that I mentioned, my last section of my binder. And I have a digital copy now, and I have the hard copy. The digital copy is in much greater detail because that's my real where I do my ripple effect, where if the PCs do something, I update on the XP, and then I look at the XP and I flip through to the factions. I say, okay, well, the PCs fucked over the Bridge Rats Thief Guild, and the Bridge Rats are attached to this other faction. So how do they react to that? Do they abandon the Bridge Rats? Do they try to get revenge on the PCs? Do they move in on the Bridge Rats and try to take them over? What do they do? So that might update into a quest, or it might not. Or I might just need to remember it for one of the quests that's already referenced. And that's pretty much it. It sounds fairly simple. It has taken a little while just to get that smooth rhythm. It's like I said, I tried to keep all the NPCs just on like lined paper, and I'm rolling I'm rolling 50 NPCs deep, and I'm just like, I can't find anyone when I need to find them. So just break it down, do it by faction. You could do it by geography if you're doing a roaming, adventuring style. So here's all the NPCs in Altdorf. Here's all the NPCs in Nuln. Here's all the NPCs in Tal of Akheim, and I do break it down a little by geography if that's relevant. So I might have like the Bridge Rats of Nuln, but I might have another page that's the Bridge Rats in Viberdorf. It's not usually super necessary to do that. Usually I try to keep all the action in one central locale, or have the PCs chase an NPC out or go looking for an NPC, or have an NPC drag them out from that central locale. So I like to be very site-based. Even if they go away and do a quest, eventually they'll come back to that main base. That's where all the intrigue happens, whereas away from there is where a lot of the exploration and the combat, the sneaking, that's where a lot of that happens. Not that you don't do a lot of all the same good stuff in the city or on the space station or whatever it is, but there's a very different mood to it. So I think that's it. I'm done rambling at you, but I'd love to hear how you do things in the comments below. Just leave some notation down there, and I'm always looking to improve, so I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. I'm going to sign off now. Y'all have a good day on YouTube.